Okay, just real quick. One, two, 1, 2. Make sure I have some sound. Okay, just real quick. Okay, and I do. Great. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Samuel Lombardo, the Executive Director, CEO, and Agent of SL Models and Talent Agency, LLC, Suave Dance Studios, LLC, Lions Potion and Productions, LLC, SL Photography, Artist Gala, and the V Smart Vocational School of Models and Artists. You can follow us at www.slmta-agency.com. For right now, we actually got the site down, not the other one, but so we got the site down because we're doing a major it is 9 p.m. here. Sorry about that, folks. I have some folks wondering when my live is. It is 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. So now that we got that out of the way. All right, folks. So we have the website down. Major changes are happening. I'm about to tell you what they are in just a few moments. So I just wanted to let you know that that this is not something that we don't know. It is us that is working on the website right now. SL Models and Talent Agency is seeking. We are seeking many different positions right now. So SL Models and Talent Agency to www.slmta- I'm just about ready to do that. Just do this. Copy and paste. It's as simple as I can get it. Copy and paste. Copy and paste. Here I am. All right. Because I don't have time. I'm sorry. I just don't have time to speak to you in a messenger. I'm on live now. Sorry about that. Maybe next time. Thank you. Okay, continuing on. So we are going to be doing some discussions about models and talent. Yes, this is your week where I'm going to be speaking to you guys now on the perspective of our creators, creative innovators, from our other half of the book. Okay. But first, let me explain what is happening with the website. So what we are doing now, folks, is we are taking the whole entire website. The full roster is going to be for our elite, pros, supermodel. So they're all going to be in a signatory profile where all clients will have to sign in, do a sign in, and will actually be able to choose who they want and the cost and things like that. So we're setting that up for direct bookings. That's going to be a whole another website, and it will be linked to our website, but slmta-agency.com will be specifically focusing on dreamers, which are the new faces, and we will be actually showcasing some of our supermodels, we will be showcasing them as they progress on the home page. So things are going to be changing with our website. And I'll explain more in details what I mean by what is happening. Okay. Also, we are interactive right now with over 500 million people that could be watching us and also listening to us at one time at SL Models and Talent Agency. It would be very kind if you could please make sure that you do not message me during live. Okay, you will know when I'm live because it will actually show on your screen that Dr. Lombardo or Lombardo J. Samuel or whatever is live, and then, you know, go down that route. I don't want to be changing up my my agenda for tonight based off of chit chat coming in from Messenger. Okay. And by the way, I will start to, I didn't do it tonight, but starting tomorrow, I will start to lower the Messenger so that you can interact with me on the comment section. So that means that you can chit chat in the comment section. Like, look, I'll show you what I mean. Okay, when you do this, hey, I'm on live. Don't forget to subscribe. All right, so that's where we're at. So that's what I mean by doing such an awesome job. Okay, so let me go and stay on target for what I need to talk about because we got a lot to talk about. There's going to be a lot of questions for sure. And I will be going on and on till about 11 o'clock. I will not be able to stay on until 12 tonight. So there's going to be a lot of things to discuss in these 2 hours that I'm with you. Okay. The first thing that I want to mention, I want to make sure I have very clear. The www.slmta-agency.com is only going to have specific things on it from now on. There will be a link to a client sign-in or an agency sign-in. Now, for agencies, what will happen is if you want the pros to be booked through SLMTA, you will be signing, you would have to sign certain materials. There will be photo releases. There will be specific contracts for what the genre is that they want to do, whether it's dancing, singing, modeling, and or acting, whatever that you may have. Okay. So you will be doing that up front. And then you would be able to actually see who is on the roster and who is not. But that will be the best way of developing the roster, but it will be your roster for you only for what's coming from your agency. Unless you are also got some kind of a side hustle where you are actually a client too, then you will get to see all of the talent, okay? If you want non-experienced talent, meaning those that are dreamers, that will be on the website. That will be the men, women, kids, etc. that you're seeing in the drop down. But we're going to gut all of that out. What we're going to have is influencers. We will have influencers listed there, some of them. And we will also have the glamour chart. The glamour chart will be there. Now, we're also going to do a photography chart. Yes, SLMTA is becoming so sophisticated now that we are actually looking for hair and makeup artists or makeup artists who will be able to work during specific bookings where different clients need these individuals, okay? And they sign a contract with SLMTA to be able to hire a licensed, you must be licensed, hair and or makeup artist, okay? So we have that. And even if you were busy or whatever, this, for you guys, it's more of like a freelance type of scenario, but it is available. And when you are booked, you would know, because we would send you the information about what client, where, and the details that evolve around that scenario. Same way with photographers. There are specific people looking for photographers. So if you have a reason to believe that you just don't have the time for the advertisement, and you want some advertisement that will be built into your platform, SLMTA is the place to be. We can get it done where people will know about your services, okay? So that is what we're going to be doing with the photographers. And also, SL Models and Talent Agency LLC is seeking photographers to be on our photographer chart, just like our glamour chart. And no, you're not being hired by us. You will be hired by prospective clients, okay? So if you are the type of photographer that is already a client, then you would want to go in there and sign up to be a client to actually hire our models for your photography gigs. But if that doesn't fit you, and you are a photographer that is looking to be booked for work, then that's where you want to sign up for the photography chart, so that you can be listed for bookings. See the difference? Hopefully we're on the same page here. Okay, so with that being said, at this point in time, we're going to move forward. If you have not subscribed to SL Models and Talent Agency, do so. We are reaching near 700 subscribers. We are over 700 subscribers now, but I'm going to ask you to do a different favor. Okay, when I go on live, I want you to share this with your friends, even if they are viewing just for like 3 minutes, because we have a big topic that we're going to be talking about tonight. Okay, a huge topic. And I can almost guarantee you that the views will go through the roof. I made sure I have tagged this well enough and everything. But I could tell you right now, just in the 15 minutes that I was online, if that, let me make sure, was I? I'm probably not even. And we have already gained 50 subscribers. And it is very possible to see that the subscriptions are going to rise like this, because this is a major topic. This is talking about you. This is talking about you being the model that you want to be and not letting nothing be in the way. Enough of the excuses, but we're going to talk about the excuses, okay, because they are there. All right. And SL Models and Talent Agency LLC, believe it or not, to give you a little bit more information, we have just became internationally world renowned. A very good friend of mine at Tausi is a very high profile supermodel type, international world renowned supermodel, put it that way. I'm going to try to shorten it down a little bit. He is going through bookings left and right as I speak right now on an international level. There are many bookings that are already happening for him. I am also starting to get involved. We're going to be doing some things with Mexico soon, more specifically with I'll throw one example out there, but I'm not going to say too much about it. But if you're familiar with Telemundo, then you know what I'm probably going to get at. I want to try to do a Mexicano contest that would be available to Telemundo. And this would also help with the rest of our Spanish, relative to our Spanish community of the SLMTA community. So you want to be able to share that information when we get it all together. That competition will begin in May. We're just waiting for some loose ends to be tied up, contracts to be finalized, and then we will be on our way with our Spanish community of SL Models and Talent Agency. And that's all Spanish community. We're not just talking about Mexico, but Mexico is a big part of it. We're talking about everywhere, Panama, Argentina, Chile, you know, a place like that, Brazil, Colombia, where all the talent is in the Spanish community of SL Models and Talent Agencies. So we are really pushing it big. We are pushing it big right now. So again, do not forget to subscribe to SL Models and Talent Agency LLC. It is the gold icon with the red ring around it. And do not forget to hit that notification bell. We might be having a treat with a new person that will sign with us that is actually from Mexico. I'm specifically telling this person to listen tonight because if anything, and this goes for the rest of you, where modeling is actually your dream, or singing could be your dream. Maybe not modeling, but maybe you like to sing. Maybe you're a musician, a singer-songwriter, whatever the case is. There are so many different avenues of doing what you want to do, different genres, and you want to be able to know where to start and how to get involved in this industry. So tonight, we have a big topic for you. Yes, tonight's SLMTA at night, loving yourself, what you do, and avoid mental blocks. Now let's talk about that for a minute, but first, I want to bring a quick announcement. Go to www.patreon.com/SLMTA and become a member. We are going to be having excellent things available, especially if you are a VIP member. Thank you to those who are VIP members, as we do have 20 of them thus far. Thank you very much. And thank you for those who actually had upgraded their membership to platinum level, as we have a few more basic memberships. This is doing great. And these are real memberships. They do give you real access to real things that are happening with SL Models and Talent Agency. Anything from the diamond level and above, after 3 months, you get free merchandise with our brand on it. Yes, indeed. You get free merchandise with our brand. We'll even throw in a free sticker with our brand on it if you become a basic member. So enjoy that as well. You get to chit chat with us directly and get the link to Zoom, and you actually get to interact with me live on Zoom, as well as to the rest of the community, if that is something that you so desire. It's not forced on you, but it is something that you could do. So let's talk about this emotional blocks because they are there. But first, I want to introduce this topic, emotional excuses. What are the emotional excuses? Now, remember, for the clients and for the agencies, you know what I'm talking about when I'm speaking to you guys. We don't think this fits where we are, or we don't have a budget for that, or we don't have a this for that, so we're just not going to do that. And then what happens is you evolve with more excuses after that, and then eventually then you start to incriminate your excuses instead of, but the underlying issue is a fear, right? And I've explained to you about the fear. Now, a fear is something that you're afraid of. Now, I'm going to step on some toes for a quick second because the only way for you to understand what the emotional block is, you need to know what the emotional excuses are. And yes, they are nothing but an excuse. And then I'm going to explain to you how you could avoid it, okay? Because the only way, one of the only ways that you will be able to handle your situation, despite what anybody in your family is telling you, despite what your boyfriend or girlfriend could be telling you, despite if you're afraid to see somebody that you don't want to see ever again, despite the fact that you have no money, despite the fact all these things are just plain out straight excuses and don't fit in the entertainment industry. Because the goal is to get you booked so that you could be earning that money. So that thing about, oh, I don't have money turns into, oh, wow, look what he did for me. Oh, okay, now I see what you're talking about. Now, let me ask you a question. For those of you that have this big excuse about, I have no money, I don't think this is going to work for me. And you've been there for what, say 3, 5, 6, 10 years in the same predicament. Do you know why you're still in that same predicament? It's one of those things that basically we don't realize, but that I want to bring to your attention because it's something very interesting. It's called spiritual and psychological ego. Okay, now I've explained this. If you were watching some of my videos on the basis of clients and agencies like business owners, then I think you know where I'm going to be going with here when I talk about models and talent. Okay. Now, with models and talent, I can see when I see a model. I could tell when there is potential. And by default, sometimes I even double check my work and I might ask someone like Ashraf Talsi, who has the experience. Do you think this person has the potential to actually be a model? Because he would tell you flat out if you did or if you didn't. It doesn't matter what the excuse is, it's just a matter of the reality. Now, we're going to talk about reality in a minute, but let's talk about the excuse, because this is the problem that we're facing right now, right? So, spiritual ego deals with 2 columns of issue, okay? There's a positive and there's a negative. The negative, obviously, is the fear, right? The positive is the love. But if you cannot love enough to put yourself in a predicament to where you can have a positive experience, then the fear is keeping you stuck. So you end up stuck in the cycle of, How long am I going to be sitting here waiting and waiting and waiting for something to happen? And it's like you're the donut man with this cup of coffee, trying to figure out when the next donut's going to be given to you, because apparently you don't have the money to get the donut. So for some of you, I don't want to bore you with the same information I've already said prior to this. So spiritual ego is a very high-end situation when it comes to fear. Now, the psychological fear is where you normally develop your emotional excuses. Your spiritual ego is where you end up with incriminating and judgmental excuses. So if you ever tell yourself, I don't think I could ever be a model, you know, I'm too fat, it's not going to work. Wait until I dim down my weight and all that. So, my brother says, I should be working. It's not even time for me to be doing this. I'm not making no money. I got to make money somewhere else. And, the funny thing about it is that delusions are usually very straightforward, okay? They seem so real. They're like the real thing, okay? I've already mentioned this before too. So just short and sweet and very to the point. If you have that delusion, then you have to paint the picture of how do I make this work with my schedule? If this is going to be you that's having this problem, okay? How do you actually make this work with your schedule? Then the question is, how long are you going to get away with what you've been doing thus far with what you want to do? See, if your family is working with you now, okay, where money isn't actually a big issue, but just for the fact that you might need to be independent in another way, that's one thing. But sometimes we have our minds in all different directions. Like the independence could be, well, I don't want to look like the person where I'm asking somebody for money, and so then I'm couch seeking while I'm sitting there wondering when the next date is coming, and you're thinking about all these other excuses that by the time you get done with every single excuse, that I don't have a love in my life, I don't know where the money's going to come from, I don't know if I'm ever going to get a job, I don't know if this is even real, I can't seem to figure this out, I've been stuck like this for 5 years, I might as well sit here and figure out another 5 years. All these different things that you are actually doing to yourself, by the time you get down the whole entire list, it's going to be another 10, 15 years before you actually get it right. Why? Because you're trying to put yourself in a pedestal. This is where the model and the artists get it wrong. You're by default putting yourself on a pedestal by trying to think that this is where I should be, when in reality, just like anything else, you got to start from the ground up. All right. So now the question is, what excuse do you have for the ground up? That you hit your head too many times on the ground and now you can't get back up? Well, if that's the excuse, then I'm going to tell you, by the time I'm done with you tonight, you will probably have a bump on your head. Okay? But I will also tell you that you could avoid that bump in your head by doing certain steps. All right. Now, this isn't an excuse for SLMTA. This is actually reality of what any agency or client would be looking for. And sometimes we put ourselves in the predicament where we lose the chances. Let me give you an example of what I mean by that. There are some models out there, and I'm going to just say it just straight up and to the point, because I think it's probably it was one of the weirdest excuses, but at the same time, it didn't matter to me because SLMTA is moving on. They're still stuck in the same situation that they were in. But I've had people tell me, you don't even look like a model yourself. How do you know so much about modeling? Again, a judgmental excuse. Underlining issue, they actually do not have enough faith in themselves to be able to push their agenda, and therefore would rather slap someone else in the face with that delusion. Now, why do I call it a delusion? Because it may be true. I'm not going to lie, I've never been a model yet. But that doesn't mean that I don't know about the industry. As you will be very well surprised to hear in the next coming actual videos that I'm going to be doing. I hadn't been doing those because I've been stuck in chapters 6 through 8 of my book, but there are many other things that I'm going to be talking about, and you will be surprised what I may or may not know about the modeling industry, as well as the design industry, which, by the way, are two industries put into one. And there are many genres within that. Like, it's going to take me a little bit to go through each thing that I'm talking about, okay? Because I like to be very thorough, and now you get the most out of the information that is necessary. But for this purpose, it was a judgmental excuse because they thought it was easy enough to get out of, oh, this person doesn't know what he's talking about. Let's keep it moving to somewhere else. But then what the real agenda was is the fact that they had no experience. They're just assuming that they know what a model looks like, and therefore they thought they had what the model was looking like. What makes it even worse is the fact that I actually know so many models out there that would tell me whether or not they could even be a model. And because I come back with the yes or no, they turn around and they tell me, well, how can you make that determination? Again, it all comes with delusion. All right. Now, there's these other excuses that come up. The big one. Now, this is more of an emotional excuse. Well, I have to wait for the love of my life. I'm afraid that they're going to actually see me, and that I will not have any time for him or her. First of all, underlining issue, insecurity. That's what the underlining issue is. You're insecure about something, and that person's going to know about that situation, and therefore you don't want that to be the case. And being out in the open would put you on a pedestal where people would hope that your life was a whole lot more like marshmallows and sweet candy. folks, again, that's a delusion. Okay, it seems real, like you could literally have the sweetest relationship in your life, or you might have ruined yourself from the best relationship ever. But the delusion in it is your fear. The fear is the insecurity. Oh, what is this person going to think when they actually see me? Well, who cares what the person thinks? You're going to waste your years sitting there thinking about what a person's going to think? I'm going to tell you what the person's thinking. They're thinking, man, this person can't get out there and do something. And yet this person's telling me that they want to do it and that they want to be the love of my life, but yet they're sitting on a chair doing nothing about it. Oh, people, listen to me. Listen to me when I say this. You don't know what the other person is thinking. You can only assume it, again, is delusional, unless you have an actual fact that that's what the person is thinking. It all comes down to an emotional excuse. It's the psychology of you being stuck. But the spiritual ego says, in order to be unstuck, you have to get rid of that fear. You have to get out of the delusion. You have to have a perception of what it is that you want to do. How can you be still with the same people in your life where they are training you up? You're such a, like, can you imagine that you're a singer that's been singing for 5 years but did nothing and got no sound or reward for it, just because you were sitting around with this delusion of, what if, oh my God, what if? What if he saw me and, oh my God, like, or what am I gonna do if like, you know, like Johnny Abrams or Adams Smith is like noticing me or whatever? I don't care. And you know what? The one thing you're gonna have to understand is that you will have lovers and you will have haters. I already know that. I've accepted it and I had to move on with that. I could not be stuck in that delusion, or SLMTA would never be anything. You know, now there are certain things where there are in my life, okay, using me as an example, there are certain things that I have to be careful of, because obviously, yes, you have everyday bills and you got these different things and stuff like that. You know, I have been sacrificing so much for this company that it's almost becoming boring for even my own family to say, okay, when are you going to be doing something with it? And I said, I'm doing something with it. It's just, I'm in a huge compartment of an industry that has a lot of competition in it. And you also have a lot of those fakers. I mean, we've talked about what the fakers were, where you needed to figure out what a real agency is versus a fake agency. And that actually even becomes a delusion for some of the models as well. Let me help you understand what you need to do. If you land a fake agency, okay, first of all, you probably would want to make sure that you are covered by your own lawyer, because it's still contracts, Okay, it doesn't matter if it's training or if it's like they're trying to say that you're exclusive to them or whatever. You need to be able, if they're going to rush you into a signing of a contract, 9 times out of 10, it's because they are not legit. They're the ones that you probably want to just run away from and never come back. If they're going to rush you into it, meaning that no, now is the time. Now, don't get me wrong. I do have a message where now is the time, but I'm never going to tell somebody that you have to sign my contract. And I want to at least give you a week to read through it so that if you have any questions, you're not stuck before you actually sign it. Okay. But you have some of those out there that are like, but that's because SLMTA is legit, but you have some illegitimate company where it's about getting you signed into the agency. They're saying that you're not being signed into the agency, that you're this and that. But now they'll use different tactics like, I'm looking for you now. I'm looking for you now. I'm looking. Well, guess what? Look, okay? But they still have the choice whether or not that is going to be the contract that they will sign. I'm not sitting here blowing smoke, okay? And they should be allowed to have an attorney to advise them on whether or not this is an actual real contract or not. So, yes, SLMTA is for the protection of the real models and that out there. Now, there is a tricky situation with the dreamers. Even SLMTA, we have a dreamers division. What is that? It's basically it's the modeling division. It is the whole entire roster division of new models and talent, meaning they have no experience whatsoever. And I'm not talking about, there are some of you out there, like I'm speaking with someone who's an actual very good singer and been trained for many years. Like this message is actually for him tonight. I'm probably speaking to him right now. All right. But there are many people like this other individual where they have spent years and years in this train of thought of like, I don't have money, I don't have the love of my life, I don't know what I'm doing, no, this ain't doing nothing for me, no, I've been here long enough, I know what I'm talking about, blah, 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 right? And then it boils down to, and this is the ones that I really love, when you're actually dealing with those who are from a college, who signs with an agency, now they're freelancing through anyway. So when someone like me goes and contacts them, they're like, oh, well, you know, the big one last year was, oh, COVID. I've decided that I'm going to take a break from it. And, you know, I was like, okay, you got to take a break from it. And boy, did they actually really take a break from it. It took a break to actually find out another reality, of which then took them to a whole nother level. But they also was able to figure out what other types of income that they could get in the meantime. You know, because of obviously Broadway and things like that were not essential, at least last year. Probably going into this year, but I think that New York is slowly opening up, you know, the LA is. And so you have this situation where there was all these compounding excuses going on about COVID, there ain't nothing going on. And then the dreamers, okay, where I was actually giving free training. What do I hear? And here's the funny thing, because you know I always research. They always say, "Oh, I don't have no time. I'm at work and all this," right? But then the same days that they keep telling me that are the same days that I see photos being set up, unless of course it specifically says this is a photo from 5 years ago or whatever. I'm seeing photos set up like they were at parties, that they were this and that. And you know, this is what actual jobs do too. They look at that stuff saying, "Oh, so you're sick, right? But here you are." You know, I hate to say it this way, but I'm going to say it this way. I had folks that were trying to tell me that they were sick, and I could see them in a photo or a video smoking a stick while I'm sitting there texting them. And then finally, 30 minutes later, after I actually tell them that I've seen the video, then they actually come back, "Oh, well, you know, what does it matter? This and that," and using all these other judgmental excuses like, you know, "Don't I have my privacy and all this?" Well, yeah, you may have your privacy, but when I'm online, it's an open source, okay? So if you're posting you smoking a stick with your friend outside, and you're actually posting that on Facebook, and I happen to see it, and I'm your boss, what does that look like? You know, I'm not going to go sitting there hiding around by your house to figure it out. You actually have this. You know, this is on your Facebook and all this stuff. So again, maybe another little word of encouragement would be careful what you actually post on Facebook, especially if you're going to actually blatantly lie. Okay. I just, I had to say it that way. Now, a lot of people will tell me, "Oh, well, you're judging." Well, I mean, that depends on how you want to look at it, because I'm actually giving out an actual fact that I'm actually seeing, okay, versus the fact that it's just a perception that it looks like a stick that someone smoked at. All right. Now, if it was different, I'm not going to go into those topics, but everybody is going to have one side of the coin to another and try to spin different ways of what it looks like. But the reality is that you wasn't at work and you were doing something, and it looked like that whatever you were doing, you were actually enjoying it. I'm not saying that work is always going to be enjoyable either, you know. But for the case of what I'm trying to get at, because I want to stay on point, a lot of times, a lot of our own mental discouragements that we have, we actually put on ourselves. Like, for example, if I was to sit around, and I'm going to say this because it's real, okay? If I was going to sit around and all I was going to do is just eat bags of potato chips left and right and say that the world fell through me and I'm stuck in a hole, I will never get out. And then I'm wondering why I have the weight. That's the consequence of a negative reaction. Okay. So if you're sitting around and you're doing absolutely nothing, then it literally, what's the best way that I could say this? It literally puts you at a position that you don't want to do anything? Or do you start to feel comfortable that this is where I'm at and I like it where I am? Now, I'm not going to sit here and throw my judgment on that, but if that is something that fits you, then by all means, great. But if that doesn't fit you, if this isn't your reality, then there's probably something that you want to actually look at. You need to figure out what it is that you need to change. And so it's the love energy that you want to be able to evolve yourself with. So in the spiritual galaxy or spiritual ego, we have the fear and then we have the love energy. Now, I'm going to bring this topic back again. With every decision, there is a positive or a negative award or consequence, whatever you want to put it. And so you would need to figure out what would be the best reward for you doing or wanting to do a specific thing. If you decide that I'm not going to be able to do this, I'm going to need something to be able to support me, but this is a big thing that is your dream, then the real question would actually have to be, how can you be able to fit both? Or is it something that you can fit both? Now, some of you might already have the training and you just need to get out there and do it. What do I mean by that? A good example would be a university student, or it could also be someone who had been taking many voice lessons or acting lessons or what have you. Now, again, remember, be careful of these agencies that say, okay, before you can use my name or whatever they're going to try to tell you, you must do this, and this. Let me advise you that training goes so far, but at some point, your job is that you want to get paid for the booking, but you will get agencies out there where they will turn around and try to throw a few local bookings at you here and there, and then turn around at the same point and actually say, okay, how can we get them to reevaluate their dollars back at the office? So what do? I'm going to throw a contest at you. Or I'm going to throw another workshop at you. And it's going to cost this, and this. And it's like, really? Like, unless you actually absolutely need to sit there and constantly do these things, like SLMTA actually has a guide on training, where if you're a singer or songwriter, right, it's one set price for everybody, unless you're wanting to learn more than one genre. So like, let's say you're going in for dancing, but you want to go in for modeling too. You can do that as a dreamer, all right, but it's going to cost you a little bit more extra besides the package, right? But let me explain how the program is set up, because really and truly, it's not about the cost, it's about how sophisticated our training programs are. Our training programs give you a year and they work with your schedule. So if you feel like, oh, well, I have to get this job, it's important that I get this job, I need to recreate and rethink my budget, SLMTA has actually created a way, number one, to make it work around your schedule. So you get a year of the training. All right. With that, you do get your photo shoots. You get all of your other things as well. Your photo shoots, your showcases, your workshops, even conventions. Okay. You get all of those. But there are some of you, like there is an individual that I'm speaking with. I'm not going to mention the name right now. There's an individual who's been spending more than a year, more than necessary to, I'd like to hear some of the music, okay? Because if you're already singing, if you're already doing it, then it's just a matter of you getting out there and actually doing it. And actually starting to make money off of what you're doing. Why is it, it's nothing that you should be scared about doing. Now, I'm not going to say, let's go rush in making an album. Of course, production time is where the money comes in at. So you might have to do some other things like live performances, YouTube. I got a good platform where you can actually do different concerts. You want to do a few of them? We'll fit you right in. Okay, it's free of charge. We get, it's a win-win actually, because those of you that are needing the help to actually get bigger, we will pay you the royalties of the different ticket sales that we get. Yes, we sell these concerts as long as you're giving us permission to say, yes, I want to do this. And you are going up on there live, and then we set a date, we will sell the tickets, you will go on. Now, there might be some of you, there will be some of you that are out there that will probably do a jealous game. And I really don't care about those out there that are jealous, okay? I don't entertain that. But we will invite anybody. If you want to go, it will be a $20 ticket, and it will involve this, this, and this. And we even have it sophisticated with our sponsors, where they can actually have different, we're going to put 30-second clips of their, whether it's audio and or visual ads in with the actual advertising in between our shows. Why? Because it costs, SLMTA knows it costs money to be able to run these different types of shows and stuff like that. I'm not really worried about monetizing YouTube. I'm more about monetizing the artist, okay? And actually being able, because by default, YouTube's gonna see what SL models and talent agencies willing to do. We have a big community of different artists, whether they are new, pop stars, whatever, okay? And they're coming in, they wanna set up different online concerts. Well, why not? And now it's better than ever. Why? Because of the COVID-19 nonsense. Why not just go on there live? This is your chance to start preparing and making whatever money you can make before you go and do the live thing. And for some of you, you have learned that it was just as good doing online concerts than it was to do live. So SLMTA believes in not getting rid of online because it's just as important as the live. Now, we have two very, very important people I want to talk about. Brandon Moody. He is flying to LA and is on assignment for 2 months. He is a fashion designer as well. Some of his fashion clothes in June, I've actually gotten this information, in June will be sold in a store, in a local store with my friend Iris, who opened her own boutique. Now, he has awesome design. And some of it's streetwear, some of it is in between haute couture and other types of forms. I'm not going to sit here and talk about the different forms of fashion. We'll throw that in there at another time. But the point of me bringing it up is that he grew out of that. He knew exactly what he needed to do. We're about to get into a huge expansion with LA being in the midst of it. Folks, hear me out when I say this. I am not kidding right now. He is on that plane, or he's getting ready to be on that plane. He is flying out to LA. One of the top designers outside of SLMTA. He's a little backed up because of the visa thing, but that all has to do with the COVID. The visa's approved. He just has to wait for the COVID thing to slow down. And when that slows down, because he's from Morocco and he's been traveling with France and all that, he is still out there working to this day. Okay. Not one moment. I mean, even for me to have a conversation with him, it's about 3 or 4 sentences. If I can't get my point across in 3 or 4 sentences, I have no other conversation with him because he's that busy. And this is COVID, mind you, when I'm saying that. Superstar, world renowned. Okay. Well, I'm talking to you, you know who I'm talking about. When I say that if you want to be a pop star and you want to do your music, do it. There's nothing that should be stopping you from not doing it. There is no such thing as I don't have money for something that you can get money for. It doesn't make sense, especially when you're going through all the training. It just does not make sense. I'm encouraging you to figure out, you need to write a purpose and a plan for your life. What do you want to do? Why is it that you're not able to get that job if you're still stuck trying to figure out how to get a job? Okay. And then figure out, is there some way that you could be involved in the industry while you're at the job? Is the job going to be flexible enough? Now, that might be the whole other problem. If the job isn't flexible enough, which is probably going to be 9 times the case. I mean, unless you're working for Amazon or whatnot, then you could work flexible shifts. You only have to do 20 hours a month. I mean, if you could afford whatever you're doing for 20 hours a month, then boom, there you go. SL Models and Talent Agency is about how to create the artist within you. Okay, unleash the artist within and let your light shine. That is what SLMTA is. Here's the thing. Here's the catch. If you can get yourself a really good purpose and plan, then you can start, instead of dealing with delusions or even illusions for that matter, then you can start developing tenacity, which is the persistence in keeping on moving on. But for you to be able to get tenacity, you're going to have to practice how to move on from all these other mental blocks, which are related to your spiritual ego, psychological ego. Do you know, and this is a truth, it is a fact, do you know that it only takes one simple spark, that if the left side was distracted from a stroke, that on the right side, as long as the creative side was there, only one memory needs to spark you up, and it could get you to run just like it, as if it never happened before. There are proven studies. For some, it might actually take the few years to actually go through the whole cycle. Why? Because, I mean, you're practicing how to walk again, or whatever the case may be. But the reality is that if that spark could have hit right then and there, you probably would have been like, oh crap, I'm gonna like start moving, right? And then it's like, you have it in you. Like, no, I believe if I just do this, right? Then you start standing up. Well, I know what it is to dance. Shoot, you could literally forget how to put one foot in front of the other and still be able to dance. It's crazy how that actually works, because each side of the brain has a specific function. Just like your spiritual ego has one side of the brain, while the psychological ego has the other side. You have and then you have your reactants, the frontal lobe. What types of actions you're going to be taking on those decisions, and what's actually happening. So it don't matter. You can cut one side of your brain completely off and have the right side still there. If you notice, we're right in, while it's Women Appreciation Month, there's the what's it called? Down syndrome month or week awareness as well. Well, you have like Down syndrome, autism, and all that. They could be the most creative people in the world. Believe me when I say this, because I'm talking with a person right now who's actually a model and is dealing with autism and still has the look to be that model. A haute couture model, autism related, okay? But it's all about this part right over here that functions with this. It's like, when it comes to business, she ain't worrying about that. It ain't gonna matter. Because with this, you're still gonna have to develop your purpose and plan. You just have to get somebody else to help you run the other side of your brain to be able to function the other part. That's why, two heads are probably better than one, right? I say probably, I'm very careful with that because it boils down to the fact that what you can entrust an individual. What you have to be careful with is while that side of the brain actually functions, be careful not to have any of your other fears to develop, because that's where your spiritual ego comes in at. And what happens is they will leak in. There will be certain things that will trigger different reactants to the frontal lobe that will actually be like, oh, this person is talking like this one. I'm gonna have to back away. Oh, what now? You think I'm shady? Oh, that's it. I'm done. No, keep it moving. Keep it moving. And you just start with this whole thing, like now you have to be careful and you're making up different things, but you don't know like what the person's really thinking or why they might be having the issues or why they thought what they thought. So everybody has their own mind too, which is why we can't sit around and figure out what another person's thinking. Why we even care what another person's thinking. And then at the same time, judging what that person could be thinking. These are very important topics. And loving yourself goes a whole lot more than just thinking that you have how you care for yourself, but that you have a purpose and plan, that you know what you are doing, that you know how to avoid the mental blocks. And the first step of avoidance is actually realizing that it's there. You have to accept that it's there. Don't ask somebody to validate it. You don't need a validation. You just need to know that it is there. Some will try to help you and say, look, there is nothing wrong with that. That's what counselors are supposed to do, or psychiatrists, if you have to go that far, right? They are there to help you to confirm what those blockages are, but they are not supposed to be, they're not supposed to validate it. And I think that's why some folks, they stick in the depression and they have to take the pills because they're stuck in this scenario of, oh, it's validated, so it's got to be real. Well, folks, you're real too. You're a person. You are real. So if you can accept that, what validation do you need? Hold up. If you can accept that you are a real person and that you have a real plan and purpose in your life, then what validation do you need? What are you trying to do? So the first step is to realize that you are a person. The second step is actually the acceptance of who you are. The third step would actually be to develop your purpose and plan. And then your fifth step would actually be you developing an action plan. And then you would be talking about the tenacity. You cannot do tenacity. You cannot be persistent on something that has not yet been accepted. But you cannot try to validate what you're trying to accept. Think about this, okay? Let me give you an example. If you're too focused on the college saying that you're waiting for the college to validate your acceptance, then you're going to be waiting until probably you're 100 years old. Because when you are accepted, it's already the validation. So what are you validating? What's the validation? What are you trying to validate? What do you need proof of? I'm like really confused. And why I speak in the tone that I do is because, believe it or not, as funny as this sounds, to actually be more sincere, you have to be persistent in what you're speaking. So I'm not actually dropping things like on your head and making you melt to the floor. But I'm basically sinking it in that, oh, okay, now I understand what it means when someone's saying that they're trying to validate something. Yeah, you're seeking proof. You don't have to prove yourself. What are you proving? And you need to be careful of that. Because if you're trying to prove that you are somebody, then you got to be somebody then if that's what you're going to do. The problem is you can't prove that. There is not one thing that every single person on this earth will actually be happy about. I could sit here and talk to you that Jesus is coming, okay? And until the day that Jesus does come, unfortunately, everybody is still going to be sitting there trying to validate it. Well, the proof that you need is to know that Jesus is coming. That is the not the validation, but the actual confirmation. We need to start affirming each other in a way that we could applaud both our mistakes and our awards. We have to accept both of them. It doesn't matter. We have to live through that. If you put your finger on a hot stove, okay, you know it's going to burn. Point blank. Now, do you have to validate? Are you that type of person that's like, okay, let me put my finger on the burner and see if it does burn? And then if you have some kind of a trick to it that, oh, my finger didn't get burnt, so what do you mean? If you're that type of person, oh my God, oh, please, Lord, please forgive me now for what I'm about to say. There is no trick to it. You know, you putting your hand on that hot stove, you're going to burn it. You do not have to prove. If some think that you're not a good artist, so what? You know, some may think I'm not a good leader. So what? I don't have to prove that my platform actually works. Now, of course, that's in contrary to what I was speaking the past other nights. But you don't have to prove that. You don't have to validate that it actually works. So the difference between the validate, and then there are some situations now. This is a little bit of a sticky subject that I'm going to touch on tomorrow, if not tomorrow night, Thursday night. And that's actually affirming the position of those specific things within your life rather than actually validating it. Like some people say that you don't have to prove it, but at the same time, there are other things that do happen. I'm not gonna bring that up because I don't want to change the subject here. I'm actually on to something that is very important for you guys to understand. Now, before I continue on, remember to subscribe at SL Models and Talent Agency LLC. It is the gold icon with the red ring around it. Yes, because we are definitely reaching very, very close now to our first 1,000 subscribers. And my goal is to maybe get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the weekend. If we do, that is going to be awesome. Because what I'm going to start doing is moving things onto YouTube. Facebook will probably only get a piece or a portion of the video, and it would actually only be a specific section of it. It won't be like the whole thing. Now, for some of you, it might actually be better that way. Who knows? But what we want to do is we want to do our lives and then be able to situate our lives and be able to share that live on YouTube or on Facebook, should I say, rather than it being the other way around. Because we have to start developing our specific things. Okay. Another thing that I want to bring up about mental blocks that are very, very important is that when you are too busy focusing on other people's needs, other people's validation, other people, you start to become depressed, wanting to make sure that you own up to everything. And eventually it does make your brain freeze. And, you know, that is where you become victim of major things such as strokes. It does happen. It's a proven fact that you don't want to involve yourself with. You want to be very, very healthy. It don't matter what your weight is as long as you know that you are actually doing the right things at that point. You know, I always say God winks at ignorance. The truth of the matter is you don't know something, so you try to. I'm going to actually share some of these studies with you. I think I'm going to take one night and actually share some of the studies that I have that are in my book, so that it doesn't just sound like something that I'm just saying and I'm trying to figure out how to explain it to you. Really, what I'm trying to do is help you to understand what causes the different mental blocks and how to avoid them. But if you are that type of person where you seem to have everything was evolving and it was just you end up putting yourself into that depressive mode. And eventually it does hurt you with your health. It doesn't matter if you're overweight, skinny, curvy, petite, whatever. You still are at a high risk of strokes, because what happens is your brain actually, in a very short, easy way of putting it, it begins to freeze. Like you have a function, you know what you're wanting to say and how you're going to say it, and then it just does not happen. And eventually it goes through the rest of your body. So you don't want to, the first thing you want to do if you are that type that is depressive, you have to make sure that you do the right actions, take the right actions. Eliminate you validating yourself all the time. Take action, okay, be persistent, know what you are doing to get yourself motivated, have a purpose and plan, and understand and accept what did and what did not work for you. And then that will start to help you build the momentum that you need to get yourself ready for the creative moments that you've been looking for. And don't put yourself on a pedestal where you think that everybody has to accept you. You know, that statement doesn't even make sense. You know why? Because if you are expecting everyone to accept you, then again, it's another form of validation. Because what you're doing is you're trying to prove to people that this is actually going to work. Now, how you know that you're aligned is whether or not the things that you are accepting are actually in the right order. That's really the truth behind that. So you might have an idea of what you're doing. You just may have to put it in reverse order or change the order up. Or maybe you're looking at everything from a wrong perspective. But once you are aligned, you will see that everything starts to get put together in a very easy, natural way. I'm actually very happy that I was able to share this topic tonight, because I didn't think I was going to be online tonight with everything going on, major meetings and stuff, but it did. I actually made it. And actually, we're pretty much almost done. The reason is that's why I like to introduce things one thing at a time, because I think that the human brain could only dissect so much. So when I introduce the terms and then actually use the terms and what I'm actually saying, then it makes it easier. And then I allow people to understand exactly what it is that I'm trying to say, putting it in the perspective of either a leader, the model, or what have you. Now, this is actually a platform that I have seen deemed necessary that has actually worked. This is what you want to do. You want to be able to focus on the people. If you have an agenda and the agenda goes right back to your pocketbook, now I'm talking about clients again, I'm sorry, then you want to make sure that that purpose and plan is going to be accepted by that model and or talent. Because unfortunately, if it's not, then apparently there's something that is not aligned with whatever your purpose and plan is. Now, you could probably try to say to someone that they're not aligned with your purpose and plan. You could argue that out. But if you're stuck where it is, where your agency is doomed to literally die before it even awakens, you know what I'm talking about. Ages. Okay? SLMTA not only represents from 4 to 104, but we also have different ages that enjoys doing different things. I have a 20-year-old who is a highly respected professional individual. Now, you might say, oh, he's too young. What are you doing, like trying to get someone like that? No. That might be your perspective and how you look at it, but it's also a very strange delusion, because you could be a 20-year-old and know how to run a business. So I don't actually believe that you're too young to run a business. I just think that someone else had a insecure issue, or was probably jealous that they wasn't going to be able to do it, or they had their own agenda and was forcing their own alignment on that person. And now they got what they got out of it. But the real question is, how long is that going to last? What's the reality that's going to be behind how long that's going to last? Because I could tell you this much. I'm going to give you an example of what I just said. Let's say a mommy and a daddy did not like their son or daughter working as a regional director for SLMTA. I'm just throwing it out there just to be funny, okay? But the reality of what they want is, I need you for this, this, or this. So let's just throw some examples out there. I need you to help me with my plant shop. I need you to help me with, I'm not going to be able to do this, this, or this. And, I'm not going to have the money to be able to pay someone else. So if you're helping me, it'd be a win-win, right? Follow me now, because this is some real stuff that goes on out there. Okay. So then mommy and daddy now has you, there's bait. Okay. The bait is, oh, how about I get you a new car or something? It's proven to me that I'm making money. So why can't you make money? You see that? You see that? There's that validation rather than accepting. It proved to me. But here, you know what? I'm not going to validate this. I'm just going to actually show it off. Here, I'm going to go and buy you a new car, as long as you're able to help me do this, 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 and that. Okay, so now you got the bait. The bait is in there. You threw the bait out there. The fish is about to hook into it, right? Understand this is what agencies are doing too. I'm looking for you now. We got job orders. Ring, 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 ring. Come on. Come on. I'm looking for anyone. I don't care. You could be 70 to 77. Come on. Come on. No, that ain't strong enough bait. Okay, hold on. Hey, supermodels out there. Here you go. Here's what I want you to do. We're going to do a photo shoot tomorrow with Tom and Harry, okay? And then we're going to send this out there. All right, I got a big load of bait now. I'm shipping it out there to you. Look at what our pro models have done. We're looking for you. Boom. Oh, I got a big one. Hold on, hold on. It's pulling the line. It's pulling the line. Hold on. Oh, it's a shark. Oh, holy smoke. So I caught a shark. What happened here? What? I didn't think I was going to pull a shark into this thing. Uh-oh. Well, it looks like me and the line's going to be going with it because, well, I either got to let the line go and let the shark be what it wants to be, or I'm going to end up going with the shark. Because you know what the shark tells me? The shark tells me, if this is your situation, listen to me now, hear me out with this now. If this is you having this issue as an agency and there's a shark in this thing, you're already about 90% into the what I call the abyss for your company. Why do I say that? Because if you are what you're attracting. So if you are attracting these sharks, it's called the law of attraction, that is. The shark is the one that is actually looking for you. But you thought that you were looking for something else. That shark got you. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to let that line go? If you let the line go, you took that shark took everything that is included with the line, including the fact that you even had anything, because you know what happened? So with a shark actually is like it's worse than a blowfish. Okay, a blowfish will basically is blow hot air anyway. That's all it would do. A shark is actually going to call you out. It don't even have to do anything. It does not have to bite you. It doesn't have to harm you or anything. If you get in its way, oh yeah, it will bite you. You know how sharks are. But how do they call you out? They swarm around you. And they're waiting for that next thing to happen. If you make one move, you're done. You're done for it. So if you thought that the fishing rod was bad, the only thing missing now is you. The shark took everything else along with it. It just took it all. The whole fishing line, everything, the bait and all. Why? Because the shark knows what is real and what is not. And it don't care. It's going to eat whatever is in its way. But you're not going to tell the shark what to do. So if you are attracting sharks, let me give you an example of what a shark is. Okay, we're going to take away the fishing line now. We're going to take away the acceptance. A shark is going to be any person that looks like they're doing something and actually doing nothing, and is taking everything in its way. It literally has a deceptive way of doing things. And SLMTA has realized that we were dealing with law of attraction, putting that out there. We were dealing with sharks where they were trying to lure us in to something that would trap us into something else. Now, for some of you, it might seem like it actually already happened, but it didn't. It didn't happen, even if I'm exercising certain different things. We just have backup plans. Because see, one thing about a shark that they don't know is that they only have a pack of them. But if you have a school of fish, you can actually devour a shark. You just have to know how to do it. I mean, watch Finding Nemo. As cute as that cartoon is, just so real, right? Such a cute cartoon that has such a very good actual message. Nemo could do more damage to the shark that was chasing after it than the actual shark chasing after Nemo. As a matter of fact, it has actually outsmarted it. So if and how you know the difference of whether or not you're a blowfish versus a shark is a shark is very sly and cunning. Okay, cunning in a way of when it speaks very punctually, very, very actively, very devotedly. And it will use things that are relevant. Okay, it will do that because that's the bait. Understand, sharks want bait, okay? And they don't want just a fishing line, they want the whole thing, okay? But where they're sly at is before they get the bait, they're swarming around and they're looking. Yeah, they're swarming around and they're looking. And they're waiting for you to make one move. Is it going to be the move that's going to make them bite you? Or will it be the move that will allow them to convene with you? Oh boy, how many people actually had a real conversation with a shark? Not many. So let's put this in a real perspective. There are people out there that will speak to you relevantly, will make it so real. That's what an illusion is, okay? It looks so real. And they want to blind your perception about who you really are, even though that you have accepted it. But if you make one wrong move, they actually will tarnish you. They will destroy you. They will, all this nonsense, right? Get rid of them. You know how you get rid of a shark? There are several ways how you know how to get rid of a shark. This is how dumb a shark actually really is compared to what it really is. All right. But that's why people on a boat that sink doesn't come prepared. You have to have a similar piece of bait, if not something that is better, that will distract them. And then you can go ahead and just continue doing what you are doing. Does that mean that the shark won't come back? The shark's going to do what it's going to do. but you're going to finally get them out of the path. At some point, the shark is going to give up because they're looking for something. And if you don't have it, then they're not going to sit there and keep swarming around you. So if you ain't got bait, they don't want you. I'm serious when I tell you that. So that's why you want to be careful. I've learned this, where all of a sudden I had developed a public agency, and then there's all kind of agencies that would tell me, would you like to do this? Would you like to do that? All this. And I was caught off guard. You know, that's usually how sharks work. Sharks work in a way where it's like, oh, they don't know what I am. The only thing they're going to see is a stupid fin that pops up out of the water. Not necessarily, not all of them, because a hammerhead shark actually doesn't have that. So, you know, I'm being a little bit facetious here, okay, and how I'm speaking this through. But sharks come unexpectedly. Oh, yes, they do. They're not going to wait for you to like just, this is this, and this. Think about this, right? You're sitting online, you're going to be developing a contest, you're sitting online, and all of a sudden, here's this invitation that just comes up out of nowhere. If you don't know what it is, you may think it's a shark. So how do you determine what's a shark and what's not? Well, you don't want to test it out, because if you run into it, well, now you're stuck. So what you have to do is you literally have to, play it a little bit to figure out whether or not the things that make it a shark actually show up. So if you think that there's a scam, then play around with it a little bit to figure out what if it is truthfully a scam. 9 times out of 10, if it's an agency that is extremely desperate, they're going to be looking online, and they will find agencies that are just popping up out of nowhere or whatever, and they will come at it with like, this is a great opportunity for you to blah blah blah. But the reality is, and not all of them, but most of them, they swarm you in with bait. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to throw something a little bit more larger out there. And what normally happens, this is what I do, using this as an example. If they want people to spend money, because any real agency, any real collaboration will be fair. If you're going to do and be with them doing certain things, and then you go and ask about doing certain things and they say no, or they come up with this professional excuse, you've already did what you needed to do with that bait. You basically confuse that person or that business, the person running the business. Why? Because you're getting the answer. The answer is that you got stuck with the bait. Now you just threw a bigger bone and threw it further so that that shark could just go away. That's what you have to do. You have to eventually watch that thing go away, because unfortunately, if you just keep swarming around with it or playing around with it, at some point, someone's going to end up giving up. And 9 times out of 10, what the shark's looking for is for you to give up, because then you were the bait, so now they'll swallow you up whole. That's how sharks are. All right. The only other thing that comes close to a shark is a blowfish. Now you're probably wondering, why am I using fish now to actually talk about business? A blowfish is someone, let me tell you about blowfish first. Usually you are either in the same pool with it, or if there is some kind of a disagreement or something that is not necessary and they close the door, they actually blow you out of the system. Okay. So a blowfish is one of those where they hold up so much air, like it's like this. And you do one thing, even cross the path of it, okay? And it's their way of basically closing the door. Why? Because the air, the blow of that fish, okay, is so strong and so revolving that it can literally just blow you away. It really can. All right. If you're a fish, I'm talking about in the terms of fish here. But as people that actually would even be going as far as rhyme and reason to be a blowfish or try to say that they're like a blowfish is actually telling you, don't cross my path, I'm blowing you out. Well, is that actually a good way of doing business? No, and actually what's even worse than that is you're more apt to getting sharks coming in. So if you are a blowfish, unfortunately, your only other bigger bait is going to be a shark. Some folks have already dealt with sharks and didn't realize it. And SLMTA is here to try to help you to understand, to know a good fish that is actually looking to grow up, to actually enjoy its whole full life cycle, versus a shark that will swallow everything up whole, or a blowfish that will just ignore you and blow you out of proportion. They're both just as bad. So again, law of attraction. If you're dealing with something, if you're dealing with a person who will ignore you every step of the way, and it's just their way or the highway, that attraction is telling me that that individual, there is a huge insecurity. The underlying issue is probably a fear of, and in this case, if it's business, so it could be the fear of who the dominant one is. Because if they're used to always being a dominant one, then you can match that up with a person who would be, say, plastic. And I don't mean like a plastic cup. I'm talking about plastic as in fake, where they want to act like they're religious or act like they're the nicest person, but down deep you can get every single spiritual ego fear right out of them. And the one thing about my position with people, especially why I think I attract a lot of sharks, is because my job is either to fix the shark or to flat out annihilate it, because there is a way that you can get rid of a shark other than just waiting for it to disappear. And if you notice, you have to do it from behind. So what am I talking about? Basically, they will walk on eggshells, and their actions will actually lead them to their own incriminating marks. So if you are pretending that you are this religious person, holier than thou or whatnot, that day will come when you start hearing words or phrases or different things coming out of their mouth, or the way that they are doing business or whatnot may not be exactly the way that God intended it to be. Is that a judgment? No, it's a fact. Why? Because it's what's in front of you. Now, if you don't know about it, yes, it could be a judgment. That's why you never talk behind a person's back, or you don't talk behind a other situation or whatever. So what you do is you can advise the fish, stay away from that direction because there are sharks in that area. But you can't force them into it. If they're going to go, they're going to go. They're going to find out for themselves. That would be them actually creating their own incriminating action. So that's how it goes. It's just a revolving cycle of karma, God's spirit, the Holy Spirit, etc. However you want to make it out to be. It is really up to you in your life where you want to go and make that your purpose. Just remember that you want to love yourself, love what you do, and avoid your mental blocks. That is the best advice that I could share with you tonight. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comment section down below. If you are interested in subscribing, you can subscribe at SL Models and Talent Agency, LLC. Let's try to hit 1,000 by the end of the weekend. We're already heading there. I think we're about 700. We'll probably be over 700 before even tonight's done. So yeah, let's make it happen. We are doing very, very good with that. And also, if you're considering becoming a member at www.patreon.com/SLMTA, then please consider becoming a member. And there are some VIP perks there as well if you want to become a VIP member to SL Models and Talent Agency. Until then, also remember that all top models, superstars and whatnot, we will only show what's that I'm trying to do, photography station of various photos. We will not be putting any kind of roster on our site, www.slmta-agency.com. You will be on a specific site that will have a sign-in for clients, and they will be able to do the paperwork and everything already there. We are starting our direct booking site. And as well as the union site, and we're developing our guild site as well. And then on SLMTA is going to become the Dreamers site, but we're going to advertise certain things. But I do want to mention, I want to congratulate Brandon Moody, as he is getting ready or has already prepared to travel to LA. He will be there for a couple of months through until June. And then after that, we are going to be having some very, very big things happening in our fashion design department. So there's going to be a lot of stuff going on. Too much for me to even explain right now, but that just gives you a little heads up of what's happening. And anyone that is running a store that is expecting product from him or merch from him, it will be available in June, because this trip is related to getting all of his other collections together. And we're going to be also working with other manufactured stores, distributive stores that will accept his designs. And we're going to be working all those details as well. So a lot of big things are happening. We are going to be doing our first fashion week in Atlanta, Georgia. That will happen in September. That is still set to happen in Atlanta, Georgia. And we will tell you what the cost will be for participating agencies. And again, it's up to you if you want to deal with an actual agency, or if you're going to continue to play with rubber duckies in a pool and let flies be stuck on them. I mean, that's up to you what way you want to go, but that's the reality of where we face right now. I don't have time to play in a pool with rubber duckies. Okay, I just don't, and I don't want to be sitting there saying as such. I don't mind seeing real ducks swimming in the pool. I love doing now, feed them the bread, the nuts, or whatever the case may be. But a rubber ducky, watching a rubber ducky float in the pool is not my cup of tea. All right. So that's where I'm at. It will never pay me anything at all to sit there and watch that. So that's where we're at. I thank some of you for actually being entertaining, but that's about merely what it is. It's entertainment. And yes, it is showbiz. But when you're actually running an agency, or if you are actually getting involved with things, you want to showcase yourself to be real. And that's what this is. This is our interactive show. We want you to actually be interacting with one another, or even with me, asking questions and things like that. All right, until next time, have a blessed evening. I'll talk to you soon.